It's such a unique industry, and you have to kind of be okay with some people are going to be incredibly rude. Some people are going to be very difficult to work with. You always have to be the bigger person. I mean, reputation is key. You have to be kind. You always have to be positive. That's not easy for a lot of people.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this episode, giving herself up to us so we can pick her brain, we want to welcome Sophia Berry to The Closing Table. How are you, Sophia?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, doing great myself. We appreciate you for, volunteering your time to be with us here on The Closing Table and sharing your knowledge with us. So we are going to talk about what's going on specifically real estate in your market. But I like to loosen things up a little bit, Sophia. I have an icebreaker for you. It's called Fill in the Blank. I have about 4 sentences, all related to real estate, of course, but they are incomplete. I need you to fill those in with whatever context makes sense. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
All right, let's do this. First one I have, every real estate agent needs to know blank.
How to work well with others.
Great answer. No wrong answers, by the way. Most new home buyers' common mistake is
Thinking they want a fixer-upper.
Ooh, that kind of hurt my heart. We have to talk about that. Blank makes a neighborhood more valuable.
Green spaces, public green spaces like parks and landscaping.
I like that. That's different. Last one, blank is how you add value to your home.
Like one specific thing? I mean, sweat equity, like improvements, but there's many ways.
There you go.
That, so
No wrong answer. That sounds about right. All right, cool. Sweat equity. I love that one right there. Kind of ties us into that common mistake of fixer upper, but we're gonna ask questions about that. Thank you, Sophia, for starting off our icebreaker, a little loosey goosey with us. Now let's get into who you are. Sophia, if you can, in 60 seconds or less, tell us who you are outside of real estate.
Absolutely. So I come from a background of small business ownership. So prior to going into real estate, I had bath and body boutiques. I had 2 locations, one in Cedarburg, one in downtown Oconomowoc. And I had worked in retail management for other people's boutiques, and then had a wellness LLC where I did health coaching and holistic personal training. So it made sense for me to put those 2 things together into sort of a self-care boutique. I do not like having W-2 employees and managing that scheduling. So I sold that in 2019. And then I got licensed during the COVID lockdown, and the rest is history.
Oh, really? So what didn't you really like about the whole managing the employees, the W-2 employees and whatnot?
I think it's a really difficult spot for small business owners in terms of you are always going to be that accountable person. You're always going to show up if somebody says, my car doesn't work or I'm feeling sick. You're covering for them because, if it's a retail business, you have to be open in order to make sales. And I'm a very dedicated and responsible person, so I take that seriously. I wouldn't just stick a sign on the door and be like, I need this day off. So relying on employees who, even though, you're paying quite a bit to give them like a nice wage. And obviously there's all these hidden costs when you're a small business owner, you have to pay the state however much to actually pay the wage to your employee. There's just not as much accountability, I feel like, in a lot of people's mind frames, obviously, if they're not the business owner. So, yeah. So people had been telling me that I would do well in real estate for years. And obviously I had, business ownership and sales background and all of that. And I've always been drawn to architecture and design, and also, merchandising and stuff like that. So again, laying out a space. And I bought and sold, honestly, well, personally, obviously not as the agent, but homes starting by age 19. So I was always into the idea
Mm.
of equity and ownership versus that renting mentality, and knowing that you can build wealth that way. So it was something that I took that opportunity of, hey, I sold that business. Now I'm sort of in this lockdown scenario with nothing to do.
Yep.
So let me take that leap and see how real estate's going to work out. And it worked out really well for me.
All right. All right. Well, you are successful so far. So we got to congratulate you on your hustle and getting you to where you are now. So let's talk about where you do your business now. If you can, describe your current market that you're serving. Two parts. One, geographically. Paint that picture visually for anyone who may have never been to your market. Describe it that way geographically. And then let's get into some of the economics. What's going on real estate wise in your market?
So I would say I have a pretty broad personal market. If you look at my solds as an agent over the last 3 years, um, the spread is basically southeastern Wisconsin. So I
Mm-hmm.
do Washington County, Ozaukee, Milwaukee, down to Racine, Kenosha, and up to as far north as Sheboygan. So it's a really broad spread. That being said, obviously there's more of a cluster on the North Shore. I grew up in Shorewood. My parents still live here. My office is located here. Sold my house in Shorewood last year. Actually, this year in March. But definitely wanted to have a home base here in the North Shore because that's my base. That's where I grew up. I'm very familiar
Right.
with everything at that micro market. But in terms of Shorewood East Side, all the North Shore suburbs and such. That's definitely a good portion of it geographically, just because I am
Mm-hmm.
so familiar with that area. Though I do love Washington County, and I love and have lived in Ozaukee County also, Mequon, Cedarburg. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the geographical focus, I would say, here, obviously. I mean, I'll get listings out, in the Dells or in Madison, but primarily it's going to be obviously more that hyper local by my office, which is in Shorewood. Um,
Okay.
Interestingly enough, I did get licensed in Florida. So I am adding
Hmm.
another geographical market. And my up here, I'm a broker owner in Wisconsin, but I am an agent at Berkshire Hathaway in Naples. So in downtown Naples, I'm looking forward to putting in some floor time there this winter. When it's disgusting in January and February, getting down there and
Mm.
rising with that market. And I do have a good grasp on Naples specifically in terms of the Florida market. I've been going there pretty much every winter, and feel
Gotcha.
confident helping people from Wisconsin buy down there, and then maybe people from Naples get a place up here on a lake.
Got you. Interesting. Interesting. Was that the real motivation behind getting your dual licensure in Florida? Was it the winter that we usually get here in this Midwest region?
I think that's definitely a portion of it. I've never been a winter person, so
Okay.
if you can put that, the years that I have been going down there and building the familiarity with that market, because you really need to. I mean, there's a lot of people who are looking into becoming dual agents.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it effectively. You're never going to get traction in a market unless you are putting in that floor time and talking to people and understanding the different communities because Florida is built totally different. Real estate is totally different down there than it is up here. I mean, everything
Right.
is
Right.
developments, specific communities. One area has an HOA that's really significant at an annual cost. One has like a one-time buy-in. Understanding the different amenities. Like they have very low property taxes down there, but what
Yes.
they do
Yes.
have is they have these specific fees that are beyond the HOA fee. That sort of that's your property taxes. But I like the
Mm.
principle of that you're paying for something that you're getting. Like I think Wisconsin's a little aggressive when it comes to property tax. I feel
Really?
like yes, I think
Ah.
specifically Milwaukee County, I know a lot of the people in Shorewood, you're starting to see a lot of people putting their houses on the market because there was a increase in the assessments and the taxes going up. And when you look at what you can get, down in Naples and all of these amenities and stuff like that, versus what you're paying just to live in a certain house in a certain area in Wisconsin, it's pretty mind boggling,
Yeah.
and that's why I do like to be sort of that resource for people who are, maybe in Milwaukee County and Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, the areas that myself and the other agent, actually both agents that are at my
Hmm.
firm, grew up in Whitefish Bay. And so we have that basis of, we understand what's important, school districts, et cetera, all these amenities that we have here in the North Shore, but also, looking into, is Ozaki County a smart move at this point, because your taxes are going
Mm,
to be significantly less. And I think that's starting to make sense for a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm never going to move from Shorewood or Whitefish Bay. Mequon and Thiensville have a lot to offer, and then you're not paying these taxes that just are really incredibly steep. So,
really, really. Okay, that's interesting. So let's kind of segue from that into my next question, which is, what do you feel actually makes your that market unique? Like, for what reasons are, I mean, obviously they can raise taxes, property taxes for whatever reasons, but usually property taxes in certain areas are higher than property taxes in other areas because maybe it's a nicer neighborhood or wherever the case may be. But I'm really interested. What makes that market more unique than other markets that you may have visited? That Wisconsin market that you're in. How do you use that market like selling points? I should say.
um, I guess it would be which one specifically. I mean, I'm drawn to, I guess, me personally, and also my client base. If you look at a lot of the properties that I've helped people buy and what they've sold, I'm hearing from a lot of people that they'd like property with some more land to it. Um,
Hmm.
that's definitely something that I've seen kind of a trend within the last year or so. And I mean, at this point, South Florida, especially Naples area, it's expensive. Five years
Yes.
ago,
Yes.
5 years ago, you could get things for half the price that they are now, and it's continuing to spike.
Half. Oh wow.
Yes, half, literally half. So if somebody would have bought 5 years ago, it's like printing money. Like they doubled their value just by buying 5 years ago. And I think what we saw during the lockdown, a lot of people being able to work remotely. And because they could work remotely, they're kind of like, why I want to be someplace warm. And
Yeah.
so, they've seen a big shift towards obviously like Texas and Arizona and Florida and all those
Hmm.
areas. Um, but that being said, I think there's also that movement where people will come from across the country and they'll move down to a warm state and then they'll go back to the state where they have their roots. They'll go back
Mm.
eventually, yeah, for family. And I think everybody who stays
Right.
in the Midwest stays in the Midwest for family. So I think that no matter what happens, like it's so important to have that home base, like whether it's a downsize. This is what I would see in the unique market that we're in, especially on the North Shore, people coming into like that downsize phase, right? Like
Mm.
they've raised the kids, they've had the great schools. Yes, you're paying a premium to be in Whitefish Bay, Shorewood, those areas for the great schools, right? But
Right.
now they have this huge house that they don't need. It's just a couple, and seeing those tax increases, it's like maybe now's the right time to sell that
Yeah.
and get a little place on a lake somewhere, in one of our other counties where the taxes are lower, and then get yourself a great condo in one of the warmer states. Get yourself a
Yeah.
little beach property or something. And I just think that we're going to continue to see that as a trend, and I really think that that's fantastic because we do still have a severe inventory shortage, and there's a
Yes.
lot of people who really they need to get in homes, they want to get in homes. And I guess I'm all about encouraging those sellers where it's like, you raised your kids, you used the schools, you did all that stuff, move to that next shift in terms of what do you want, the next 20 years of your life during retirement to look like? Do you want to be like
Gotcha.
maintaining this big house and paying all these taxes, or do you want like lake access and beach access? I mean, I know what I would
Hmm.
go for, but that's just me.
I know, right? The other one, it sounds like an easy answer if you
It,
ask me,
yeah,
actually.
kind of does. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the different reasons as to why agents, especially in the Midwest, choose to get their license in Florida as well. And I'm not talking about just any southern state. I'm talking specifically Florida. And I could see why, which is why I asked you about the winter question. I know during the winter months, there's not as much activity as far as buying and selling property as there is in the summer, spring months. And I could see why an agent would want to go to Florida where they don't necessarily have to deal with the snow. So they can, the activity may be the same. Or you go to Florida, you say, okay, this is a retirement state, quote unquote. And my audience or the people I usually deal with are about this age. So I'd rather go and serve people in this area, in this state where, they usually, move for the most part or retire and that type of thing. So
Yeah,
different type of reasons. Oh,
I
go ahead,
think, yeah,
please.
I think there's definitely, I mean, um, I think it was 2021. I was the number one agent at KW North Shore out of like the 500 like high profile agent. Yeah, I sold like 3.1 million
Yep.
in January and in the
Congratulations.
month of January. So I don't know that we really see that lull per se. And I'm in a very unique position as a broker, local
Mm,
owner. I have a great personal team. Blake's been working with me for the last 3 years consistently. So definitely trust him as far as like boots on the ground. If I am down in Naples, all my clients know him, trust him. I can do everything virtually. I mean, we work, through DocuSign all the time. So definitely being able to do both markets and
yeah.
having my space here, which is like a great anchor. But I don't know that things really quiet down in the winter. I think it would.
Interesting.
I look at, I'm not, there's never like, it's not a solution to a problem because there is no problem, right? It's an addition of something more positive, because I know I have had multiple clients where they say, this is what I want. I want to get something in a warm weather state. And then I'm in a position where I then refer them out. So now I'm in a position where instead of referring them to a different agent where fingers crossed they do a good job for them, I can literally say,
Exactly.
great, we can do that together. And people really are drawn to doing that in the winter months. Those winter sellers, those are
Hmm.
always the ones where they're like, I think I want to do this. And they do it. So even if it's just a couple sales a year, getting those people that full experience, because I am very into client focus. So it's, I'm going to sell your place here, then we're going to go down and we're going to find your place down there, and having that familiarity so they're not going in blind, and also not handing them off to another agent just hoping that it'll be a good experience, because that's something that would make me
Yeah.
really nervous.
Yeah, I know, right? Because technically your name is kind of attached to that still because you recommended them to that person. So if it
Absolutely.
goes south, then your name is attached. I get it. I
Absolutely.
get it. Hey, can we talk about, you say you've been licensed for a few years now. Actually, you got licensed during a very interesting time in history, if
Yeah.
you ask me. Can you tell me about the moment where it clicked that real estate is what I need to do? Because I've been told that I could be great for real estate. I think that's usually told to people who have maybe an outgoing personality or who can engage with others. But I would not be comfortable doing that. I'll tell you right now. So talk about the moment where it clicked and you said, "This is what I need to do. This is what I want to do."
I think it was definitely an extension of having been an entrepreneur and having been in business for myself, and having been
Mm-hmm.
in sales. I mean, that all makes sense. Um, my grandmother, actually, my paternal grandmother, was a real estate agent in like
Mm,
the 40s, 50s, 60s. And so it was in my blood,
gotcha.
which I kind of knew that, but I didn't really know it. And then, my dad reminded me of that because he was definitely the one who was saying, go for it. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't, just do it and see if you like it. So that definitely, just knowing that subtle, because I'm similar to her in a lot of ways, that was also there, and that was back in the day. But that was a reason why I wanted to wait to become a real estate agent as well. I was told by people, like I said, since my early 20s, like, oh, you'd be a great realtor, you should do this, like, you know, great productive brokers and agents. And I was never really comfortable with the idea of a lot of the safety aspects of the industry. Uh,
Mm.
that,
Interesting.
yes, I'm very conscious of that. I
Yeah,
think it's really odd, you know, that we aren't more conscious of it. We have Realtor Safety Month, but it should be more um, in the forefront of our minds, because
I agree.
you can literally, you have everybody's, you have their phone number, you know, a lot of times a cell phone number, you can see where they live. You can get a profile of somebody that is specific, that this is the type of person I want to interact with. Find a remote property and like you have to go. I mean, we are trained to be, you know, friendly and bubbly and positive and always be overcoming sort of any weird gut feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
me going into real estate uh, in my 30s and as a mother and having, you know, lived a little more, and obviously things like the Sentry Lock, safety alerts and cell phones and, you know, Find My iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
all that sort of stuff, that didn't exist, you know, 10 years ago, et cetera. And I mean, I literally go everywhere with Blake because buddy system is the number one thing to do. I mean, it just, people don't think about it until they've had a situation. You'll see in these real estate mastermind groups that people are like, oh yeah, no, I had this sketchy thing happen. But that's the downside
Yeah.
of the job. You know, I think that people think that it's a really like glamorous and not, you know, whatever. They watch Selling Sunset, you know. That's not accurate. I'll be sitting there mopping the floor because I know like the photographer is coming and the homeowner did not leave it right in this vacant house, and I'm the one doing it. You know,
Mm.
staging has been huge for us, and half the time I'm on the other side of a couch. So it is definitely not, you know, you see all these reels and these people, and it's just like, at the end of the day, it's always hard work. Anytime that you want to be
For sure.
successful in the industry, it's always hard work. And being a good real estate agent is a lot of hard work because you're switching
Mm-hmm.
hands and you are the one holding everything together. And truly, you can only delegate so much because it is so relationship based. You know, the same conversation will go differently if you would say, oh, I'll have a team member have that conversation. No, you know, it doesn't matter. Like last year I did 47 transactions, and those are not team transactions. That is me personally.
Oh,
And I
nice.
never hand off any communication. It's not like I show up for the listing appointment and then where's Sophia. So yeah, I mean, especially with being dual licensed, involves a lot of logistics and a lot of planning. But like I said, I came into this later in life as a mom, having run businesses. So they always say like you'll never find like a harder worker than like a working mom, because we have to plan our time very strategically. We really do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel that that's an advantage that I have, is just because I've trained myself to be extra productive. And but yeah, real estate, I would not recommend it for everyone. I think there are a lot of people, if they're debating dropping out, yeah, you
Yeah.
should probably drop out. I mean, there's days I'm serious. It can be
Very motivating.
well, I'm sorry, and that's okay. A
I
lot
know
of
what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
because brokers will tell you that that you'll be so successful, you're going to do so well, and you're going to love
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it. They want your desk fees. They want you in like
Oh,
in the organization. They want you paying them to just say, I'm a realtor. I'm the opposite.
that's a
I
good
am
point.
so genuine with people, and I want them to know the good, bad, and the ugly. I want to empower them to
Mm-hmm.
be successful, but I also want them to know it is not what you're seeing on these TV shows. And it's
Yeah.
great to have a great image, and it's great to do all your marketing and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, none of that will pay you. That's not going to pay you. Your production
Yeah.
comes down to the daily grind and the follow up and the accountability and the documents and knowing the contracts and every single day, and answering your phone from 6 in the morning because one client's an early riser, they're up at 5 and they want to talk at 6, to 11:30 at night because they're a night owl and that's when they get to it. And you have to be available. And if you're not, like, people will know that. I have 50, it's like 50 combined between reviews and recommendations on realtor.com, all 5 stars. Nothing.
Nice.
And it's because I take it very seriously. I understand that, you know, each client deserves that. They deserve start to finish. And it's a lot of different personalities, trust me. So if you can maintain that consistent 5-star rating with different personalities, different properties, and you see the range of the type of properties that I've sold, very, I mean, commercial, residential, luxury, fixer upper, everything. So I think that is the kind of versatility you need if you want to be a successful agent. And if you're not going to be like really a productive, successful agent, I would find a different job. It's just,
Hey,
it's
respectfully, I get it. I
respect,
get it. And you know, and
respectfully.
I was cracking jokes, but I 100% get it though. You're,
Yeah.
you're being honest about it, and the percentage of agents that fall off after a certain amount of years, 2 or 3 years, less than 5 years, is very significant. So
Yeah.
it just goes to show, like, a lot of people have this idea of what they think it is, but then once you get into it and you see what the work that's required behind it, it
Yeah.
changes your perspective. And like I said, I've been told the same thing. Hey, I think you'll be a great real estate agent. I think you'll even just sales, or I think you'll do great in sales. I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I haven't gotten over that mental hump to put myself into that type of position. That's why I asked, like, where did it click? Where you say, this is what I want to do? Because it hasn't, not to say that it has to click for me, but that hasn't come to me, even though I feel like I have that personable characteristic. But I got to give kudos to you because you're built for that. So
Well,
yeah.
and it's not that it's like it's not an enjoyable career when you're doing it, and it's not a great career to be in, and you can take, huge strides in terms of your income, but we are being sold to constantly. You will constantly have
Oh
people
yeah.
saying, do you want to be a Zill? I don't do any of that. I do not pay for any leads. I don't do
Mm.
any of that stuff at all, because at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, where do you draw the line where you're propping yourself up, spending so much in order to maintain an image and to get this, and then you're busy, but you're not productive. And I think there are so many like pitfalls where agents fall into that. So I'm very genuine and I'm very real with people that, if you're having to do that too much, I mean, take a step back and really look and say, is this something that I should be doing, that I really want to be doing, where you're
Right.
spinning your wheels and trying to get traction. I'll see people post like in these groups where it's like, it's been 3 years and I haven't closed a single transaction. I'm like, I would say to that person, you're worth more than that. This is not the industry for you. It's,
Mm-mm.
it's such a unique industry, and you have to kind of be okay with, some people are going to be incredibly rude. Some people are going to be very difficult to work with. You always have to be the bigger person. I mean, reputation is key. You have to be kind. You always have to be positive. That's not easy for a lot of people, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I get it. No, trust me.
Not
And it's a
easy for
lot of work behind it.
me, but
It's the honest truth though.
yeah.
So your commitment to creating your own boutique brokerage, very inspiring and motivating. I gotta applaud you for that. Also, can you share a specific example of how you transform the real estate experience for a client, showcasing the unique and enjoyable atmosphere that you've cultivated within your firm?
So I think client experience has always been my focus, no matter what firm I was at. And so
Hmm.
for me to be able to have my own boutique firm where I am the broker and the owner, that's key, because not to say that the other place I was at weren't fine. But I always think that there's a lot of, in any franchise, there's a lot of focus on like, all hail the mighty founder, or,
Oh wow.
the logo. I'm just saying, no, it's true
I
though.
get
So
it. That's
you have
funny.
to participate in that. You have to participate in that to a certain degree, or you're not a good fit for company culture. Because if you're a productive agent, you're a high productive agent, you're consistently on those charts. Your numbers don't
Hmm.
lie, but you're not
Hmm.
showing that you put a value on whatever book or whatever training or anything like that. Like, you're
Right.
using the resources of the WRA website, you're educating yourself on your own, and you're taking that time and you're leveraging it to be with your clients. Because for me, that was always the priority. I want to be with my clients. I want to prioritize being available for them. If they want to see something, they need something done, versus feeding into, I guess, like the water cooler vibe, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's important. Like, I absolutely love my peers and I love my co-brokes and all that stuff, but like, I'm a busy mom. Like, I only have so
Mm-hmm.
much time, and I want to make sure that I'm never taking that time away from my clients. And this allows me to, again, bring that boutique focus where it is, the aesthetic is high end, but we'll work with wherever your budget is. You don't have to be intimidated. We are the opposite of snobby. We are super down to earth, but we'll still make it look really fancy when we list your house. And, really focus on that client and their goals. Less like I don't do like auto reply text. I don't tell someone I'll call them back in an hour and then not. And there's only so much that you can do that if you are in an organization where these additional things are required from you. There's only so
Yes.
many hours in the day. And so that was really important for me to have my own space and my own firm in order to really be leveraging my schedule, which is the best benefit to the client. That really is the best benefit
Right.
to the client, is like
Yeah.
being able to not, they never will miss a house. They're never going to miss that dream house. Or I, I'm always available to call back every single person who would call me off a sign. I'm not going to be, oh, sorry, I was in that meeting or I was in that whatever. Um, so that was really important to me. And I think um, I like local businesses. Again, back to the franchise concept. Obviously, they're run by
Mm-hmm.
people locally, but I think you're exchanging some of your authenticity always when you're in the position where you have to answer to somebody higher who is not based, locally.
Ooh, that's real.
It's true. And
Mm-hmm.
when people think that they're getting this like sense of security of like, oh, this is a big brand, it always is going to come down to your specific agent, their accountability, their performance, all that stuff. And that's only as good as the broker. And the broker should be fully focused on that instead of trying to scale. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have two agents at my firm,
Yes.
three counting myself. I have my full focus on making sure that they are doing well, their clients are happy, everything is taken care of, everything is the way that it should be, because I really don't care. I'm not trying to boost my branch location on a national level, like be the largest whatever branch in the Midwest, or add people under. Like, I could care less. It's
There
the
you go.
individuals that we serve, and I serve my agents and my clients, and then my agents obviously serve their clients. That's what I care about. I don't I Clout
Yes.
is like zero importance to me.
Gotta respect that too, because that exemplifies that success is subjective. When one person finds a success, one agent or brokerage may, hey, we want to be the number one brokerage in the Midwest or Wisconsin or whatever the case may be. Other people like, I want to be able to thrive, support the people that are on my team, and obviously make a great living. And I'm fine with that. We don't have to be ranked number one. We don't have to be acknowledged. We don't have to have huge billboards. I love that. But something that you said, can we go back to it? I'm probably going to regurgitate this wrong, but you said something to the sense of you kind of have to sacrifice your authenticity under the leadership of others, or something. Like you said something to the effects of that.
Yeah.
That was deep. That's a bar right there. I like that, because there's a lot of truth to that. Like when you are your own business leader, when you are in the position, your own business owner, you set the standards, you set the principles, you create those isms, you prioritize the objectives that are most important, rather than having to stroke someone else's ego and do all the other types of things, whatever they prioritize. So I like that you mentioned that. Maybe I regurgitated that wrong. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm gonna have to go back and listen to
No,
it.
you're spot on. I think
That was
um,
nice.
it's really important. I've always been a person who focuses on, if I do everything correctly, if I'm doing everything the right way, I don't need to be managed. I need to know what rules I need to follow. We're in a
Yep.
rule based industry. Like you learn the contracts, you learn all of our different rules and things like that. So if it's just a matter of like I'm gonna like kind of be like, oh, this person's in charge, so I'm going to act a certain way or that or whatever. I want to know that I've done everything correctly. That's what matters 100%.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I'm very much that way in terms of my agents. I don't care how they want to run their business. I just want them to be successful. So it's like, what do you need from me?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I am not going to sit here and be like, well, I'm in charge. And so I'm so fancy and special or whatever.
Right.
I think at any organization where you have these layers and layers and layers, whether it's your broker or the person above them, there's always going to be a layer. There's always somebody who's going to have to kiss up to somebody
Mm-hmm.
else, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where
Mm-hmm.
you get into, I think, pain points in an industry where we are 1099. We are 100% our own production. We are responsible. It is sink or swim. So
Yep.
I think the tolerance for me in terms of having that sort of like office mentality where it's like literally like that 9 to 5 type like organization will
Mm-hmm.
tell you to this person, act this way with this person or that way, and like office politics and stuff like that. I don't believe in that at all in real estate
Yeah.
because the broker is making money from your production. They should be trying to keep you
Yes.
happy. They're skimming off the top, you know?
Hey,
So,
that's true.
I mean, so you get somebody like myself, and there's amazing agents in our market, like where they are just so it does not matter what firm they're at. They are consistent. It is their work. They're putting it in. They're getting those results.
Yeah.
It's like in my mind, those people should really be like, what can you do for me, or how hands off can you be while still maintaining checking my contracts, making sure that everything is done correctly, supporting me, but not expecting any sort of adherence to like a company culture or anything like that, because you're paying them. If you're a productive
Yes.
agent, you're paying them. It's your production. I mean,
Yep.
I've been at other firms, and it's like they're all my same clients firm to firm, and I hate that there's like
Mm.
these loopholes of this concept that like, oh, the contract belongs to yes it does, but like let's be real, like the people that
Yep. Let's be real.
the people that know, like, and trust you and that want to work with you because of who you are. I find it so wrong that there are firms that will literally, if you leave that firm, you say, "Here's my decision. I want to do this for my own personal career, my family's benefit, whatever," and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
They'll sit there and they'll immediately take and send a postcard of some new agent to your database. That's wild.
Really?
Yes, that is wild to me. That is,
Hey,
and
it's capitalism, I guess.
no, that's like
Is that-
I think that's so. I mean, I just say those people. And if you're a strong firm and you're like a good broker, like that, why you don't need all that. Like you don't need to be doing all that.
Yes.
I want to see my agents do really well, and it's not because they're paying me. It's just me as a person. I like that's my priority. I just want to see people be happy and do well, and I I think the real estate industry is an odd industry. It's got a lot of egos and a
Of
lot of weird
course. Oh
vibes.
yeah.
And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm just a simple person at heart. I would love to be like, just very simple lifestyle, not have to do all
Mm-hmm.
that. And like, even so is now like how marketing has become. It's like the
Right.
expectation you should be doing reels. You should be doing like 2, 3 reels a day. Like, when are you doing business if you're doing all that?
True. True. True.
And even if
Yeah.
you did have time and you're also doing business, I mean, at some point we are in this industry because we want to have a life. Like we want to be with our family, we want to be with our significant other, we want to be with our kids, we want to like have some work life balance. It's like if you keep adding all that, it's like, I don't
I
know.
know, right?
I'm just it's doing too much. It's like, are you good at real estate? That's what matters. Your numbers will say that. Be nice to people and you'll be fine.
That is 100% correct right there. And you know what? I like the fact that you uh I like the fact that you went into the whole, oh man, I just lost my train of thought with that. I'm pretty sure I'll get it right back. But I love that perspective though, because first off, this is what I was gonna say. Your clients are there for you. I've heard this a million different times with our guests here on the closing table. I've yet to hear someone say, I'm looking for a house. I think I'm going to go to Century 21 or I'm going to go to Remax.
Right.
No, they're looking for agents, people, and not even just anybody, someone who they can actually have a conversation with, someone who's knowledgeable. So if you will leave a specific brokerage or firm, there's a good chance your clients are coming with you. They're not just going to go to any random agent that the same brokerage sends them just because they're under the same name brand. That doesn't even make sense, to be honest
I know.
with
I actually think that's a way to sort of, you know,
you.
be
It's
very
like,
tone
what?
deaf. It's very tone deaf
Mm-hmm.
because everything that we do should be focused on our sphere and our people and serving our clients. So if you have, the broker sending something that just says like, "Hey, that person's not here anymore. I'm going to swap you and I'm going to give you this one's just as good." Do you think you're going to
Right.
fool the person? You don't know who that person is to them either. I mean, that could be somebody that they worked with at a previous job for like 10 years, or their uncle, and it's like
Yeah.
now they're irritated, now they're feeling actually offended and irritated where they probably wouldn't have felt that way before. So I think there needs to be a little bit more respect, and this is something that I strive to do now as a broker owner. There should be more respect for the agents in terms of understanding that
Mm.
they're independent contractors. If they are doing a great job and they're generating volume, that's benefiting you. The fact that they will put your logo on their sign that they worked for, that they created
That's
that
real true.
relationship, they
Yeah.
nurtured that relationship. Your logo didn't create that relationship. It didn't do
It's
that.
true.
Your
It's true.
brand, your franchise, whatever, you know, in my case, my office in Shorewood, it didn't do that. It's the accountability of that person who did that. So it's really understanding that and saying, what do you guys need from me? Like, how can I help? Like if it's, a sticky spot in a contract, or you have a question, always know that you can call me and get a hold of me. I think a lot of brokers will fall into a situation where they are 9 to 5 and out, or even 10 to 3 and out, and they're not answering calls, and that it's all about work-life balance and blah, 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 blah. Well, then don't
Man.
have that many agents at your firm then. Because
Yeah.
how do you decide who is worth your call back or not? Is it because they're a high production agent? Well, now you're not being available to those agents who could be high production agents. You're
Correct.
you're
Mm-hmm.
pigeonholing them. Now you just put them in that box that because they're doing less than 5 million a year, they don't get the call back. Like you'll just kind of, when you see them in the office, oh yeah, oh hey, I meant to give you a call back. So I think so much of it is based around like scalability and adding bodies, adding heads, adding people to and it's like when you're too focused on that, there's no way that you can possibly be doing what you need to do, because training through videos or training through directing people to resources or needed conversations, like as a reactive method of like liability prevention, that's not the way to do it. You need to be coaching. And this is coming back from my background in terms of being a wellness coach. You need to be coaching your agents and really working with
Yeah.
them and understanding what makes them tick and where they would like to be and helping them get there. And that's really your role. And that's what you need to do with your clients as well. I mean, I work with a lot of people who they're multiple um, time investors, and so sometimes it's helping them to remember what they wanted to do in their fourth quarter, or what they were looking, that they had a lead that they told me about, that they're like, oh, I think I'm going to get this property and flip it. And then they forget because they're busy. So I'm
Mm.
actually like coaching them, when I have my like calls with them where it's like, I don't need to call them then, but I'm going to call them and just make sure that they're where they're at with where they wanted to be at. And same with the agents. And I think you just can't do that at a certain point of numbers of people that you're dealing with. And so I'm fine limiting my own size and my own like wealth and whatever. I'm fine limiting it. I'm quality over quantity
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And once you start becoming that big Walmart brand type of, you start to become a machine with no moral base,
Right.
with no emotions,
Yeah, no
and
human
we're
being.
dealing with people. So come on now, exactly, it makes
Exactly.
sense. But that's a great segue too, Sophia. So your journey from being a top producing agent to open your own boutique brokerage is remarkable. But how do you ensure that your focus on client care and attention to detail translates to your team's practices?
So in terms of making sure that that they meet my standards, like, well,
Mm-hmm.
let me put it this way. So I've had people who like wanted to be on my team when I was at different firms. I wasn't a broker. And everybody thinks that I'm like super fun, right? Because I am super fun. But I'm
Oh, okay.
I am. I'm fun. I'm fun. I can be really crabby too sometimes. But like I'm funny crabby, you know? Like I'm like my boss
Okay.
in the office like
I felt like a big one, but I felt like that was coming.
no, but I am. Like I'm like funny crabby. Like I'll laugh at myself all the time if I'm like doing something stupid. But um but I am so dead serious when it comes to doing things the right way for running your business.
Has to be.
And
Have
that's
to be,
where there's
yes.
like a skirt, like it's a hard
Mm-hmm.
stop for some people where they thought that I was going to be like fun, Sophia all the time because it's like night and day. I do not play around at all when it comes to doing things
There
correctly
you
by
go.
contract, meeting your dates and
Mm-hmm.
deadlines, and also just
Mm-hmm.
accountability so that you can be where you want to be. Like if you tell me you want to be a certain place, and I'm telling you these are the tools, these are the best practices, this is what you need to do. I mean, I'm like, yeah, you can procrastinate and not do it, but that's going to come down to your bottom line. So, like, if you want to do that, just know that, because
Yes.
ultimately, like I said, they're, independent contractors. So it's always their choice. I'm not going to force anybody to do anything, but I am going to say these are the things that have worked for me. These are the things that consistently work for anybody in real estate. You do these
Mm.
things on a consistent basis, you are going to see your production go up. And then if you don't do those things, then don't sit there and whine and complain and be like, oh, I really want to be at this point. If you're doing those things, it's 2 + 2 = 4, period. Like if you do those things,
Period.
you will be making money, you will be closing
Mm-hmm.
transactions. So that's what I want to always make sure that they are doing, so that client care is there. I will step in and help, like very much so, if it's in a transaction and I feel like things are like sliding and they're like, hey, can you help out? Because ultimately, again, we are client serving. So I'm not going to let anybody fall on their face and fail in real time with a client. Never. Like that's not
Right.
happening because, whatever you need to do to support that person and that coaching, that can happen after it's done while it's like working in an operating room, like an ER. It's like you're not sitting there with the person who is trying to learn, like, what do they call that doctor who's like there, like to watch? You're
Oh,
not like,
shadowing or
yeah,
whatever the case
you're
may
not
be. Yeah, yeah.
slowly doing the
Mm-hmm.
operation while somebody's shadowing. Like you're gonna do the operation and save the person's life. Then you're gonna be like,
Yep.
all right, so now that person is stabilized. This is why we did things this way. And I think that's key because I think a lot of people think, oh, fail forward and so on. I'm like, no, don't fail forward. We're going to do this correctly, and then you're going to understand what we did and the way that we did it and why we did it, and circle back on that and look at different scenarios and see opportunities for growth and so on and so forth. So I think it's super important to be helpful and hands-on to maintain, like you said, the focus on the clients and the quality of the service to the clients. And I feel really good about that. I feel that the people that have stayed with me consistently have
Mm-hmm.
grown year on year. I mean, the person, I have one agent who, but it's because I don't play around at all. Like if you're thinking that this is something where it like only needs to be halfway correct, like no, it can't be. We are. obsessed with our 5-star rating here. I'm
Mm.
very particular on that. So it's all fun and games. And yes, I am like fun to be around. And I joke around a lot and stuff. And that's part of why my clients, no, my clients love me for that too, because I'm a goofball. I don't take myself like overly seriously at all, but I do take our performance and our service to our clients and our job that we do with our co-brokes, and how well are we working with them, how responsive are we being, how proactive are we being. I mean, I want to be, if there's a transaction, I want to make sure that we're not just doing a great job for our client, but we're also doing everything that we can to make that easier for our co-broke as well. Like I will
Mm.
sit there and like 9 times out of 10, I have a new friend by the time the transaction is over with the agent on the other side. And it's because of things like, if they're having a hard time, they've got a bunch of showings or something, they're like, oh, can you real quick draft that? Like, I need this, 5-day extension on whatever. I'll draft the
Mm.
amendment. I don't care, and then get,
Yeah.
my side to sell. It's like, shouldn't we be helping each other? Like, why does it have to be like miserable and stressful? I think it's so
Mm-hmm.
important to do that, because then you really look forward to working together. We always say, oh, I look forward to working together. But it's like, truly, you do look forward to, and you hope that it works out, because you're like, oh, I know this person is awesome. It was super fun working with them last time. And I mean, super
Right.
fun, like as fun as work can be, right? But you
Right.
like just maintaining positive energy and feeling like you're meeting a tangible goal. And that is fun. That's very satisfying.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
overcoming all.
Collaboration over competition all
Yes,
day.
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. No, I get that. I get that. And I like that. And that just lets us know there's a difference between the joking Sophia and serious business Sophia. That's what I like to serious business Sophia. I love that.
Absolutely. There's no way I could be at the numbers that I've been at consistently year over year since entering the industry if I wasn't super serious when it comes to
Good
doing
point.
certain things and doing things the right way. But I think
Hmm.
also, people enjoy working with me, clients especially, time and time again. I've had
Yeah.
great referrals and repeat work with my clients. So.
Since I feel like you started real estate during a very unique time in the world, what notable shifts or trends in the market do you feel throughout your career, obviously, do you feel kind of made you shift or just change your approach as an agent? Do you have any stories as as the market continued and the shifts, you made adjustment? You have any stories to tell in that regard?
Um, so I started like I took my real estate exam the second that Pearson View opened back up, from the
Right.
lockdown. And I think it was such an insane time for the past like 2.5 years because of the interest rates. I mean, like we're
Agreed.
talking interest rate that is lower than a credit card for a mortgage,
Yeah.
So that obviously made things really intense in terms of competition. And I think a lot of savvy sellers understood like this is a really good time to sell because I'm getting a really significant number over what maybe is the fair market value because the interest rate is so low and people really want to secure this home. So I think the people that were out in the market, even though it was chaos, I think they were smart sellers and buyers. It was a really
Oh
good
yes.
doing both things. Um,
Hmm.
and, for me, it definitely helped me to get a ton of production in sort of rapid fire, learn so much, with really a diverse portfolio of properties um, and really just like my attitude was make hay while the sun shines, like get out there, do as much as possible, learn as much as possible, make as many connections as possible because the activity is going on right now, like this is when it's
Hmm.
happening. So it was a really great way to start and to really get my chops in this industry. And I think a lot of times people talk about how many years they've been in real estate, but like when you're looking at, okay, you're at this extremely high production of units and volume for the 3 years that you are in it, right? You could compare my 3 years to somebody's 15, and I've maybe done as much volume in a very short period of time. And to do that and really be building business and building connections and getting that repeat referral, and those positive reviews. I mean, that shows like I didn't stop to take a breath. I really didn't. I did not stop to take a breath. um, and I'm glad that I did. I mean, things are still definitely very steady there. I don't see any sort of a downturn in the market. There's been a slight like little lull of adjustment when those rates went up, but it's still, I
Right.
mean, I'm still coming out to, basically a million to a million and a half a month. And it's because there are still people that are always going to be transacting. It doesn't really matter that like the interest rates were,
Mm,
you know, there's people will always have to buy and sell and move. And
absolutely.
that was just a crazy, crazy time, but it was great to have that. And now it's just, it feels easy, it feels easy to maintain that really good, solid pace, because going in and creating all those relationships and building that sphere and that experience during that historically insane time was a wonderful basis. So it kind of like
Mm,
it allowed that footprint to be established. And then now it's like, all right, awesome. Now I'm a broker. I got my office. I can continue to work with all these people that I love working with. I, can get this nice pace going where things are, the steady version of really
mm-hmm.
busy. Um, and add things like Florida. So it's awesome.
Love that. Love to hear that. Yeah, the foundation is laid. What more do we add to it? Let's
Yeah,
keep going. Let's keep
yeah.
building. Looking back on what you've done throughout your career, what key lessons have you learned about yourself, the industry, and the importance of serving others?
Um, I'll start in reverse. So the importance of serving others, I think, is that's the end all be all. I think any industry that you're in, any job that you do, more than anything, once all the money is gone and spent and everything, it's did you help people?
Mm,
Are people who's going to turn up at your funeral when you die that can say something positive about you? And that's the really important thing with any career is, are you doing good in the world? Are you serving others? Are you helping others? Are you putting people in a better place? And I think for me, that's like the defining reason for real estate. I think it's a really, really good
right.
opportunity to help others, independence, generational wealth building, a sense of home and consistency, financial
Mm-hmm.
strength, really getting that small step, which is a huge step, but like home ownership is that's the biggest thing you can do, to sort of take your finances into your own hands and have some independence. If
I agree.
you're renting, you're always at the mercy of somebody increasing that rent. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
sell the property,
Mm-hmm.
your lease
Or
is
just putting you out.
exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't really think about it, but it's like, that's money that maybe you wouldn't have saved, that equity. You wouldn't have been setting that aside. You would have just had that lifestyle. They call it lifestyle creeping, where, you're just starting to eat out at better restaurants. You're starting to do,
Mm,
higher end brands for, these things that are more discretionary and that are not assets. They're just things that you feel like you want a certain lifestyle, you want to look a certain way. And
right.
when you're making a mortgage payment, you're protecting a nest egg that, and then you see this at the towards the end of when somebody, they don't need a big house anymore, like now they need to downsize to a condo. That equity is really what's going to take them forward, because it's the money that they didn't think about. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important. And there, don't get me started on I don't like wholesalers. I like ethically, I don't like them, and I know a lot of people
Uh-oh.
they love to do it, but like I always feel like that. I could not ethically do that. That's somebody's wealth, that they need, and it's great to be focused on yourself and trying to build, lifestyle or whatever, take care of your family. But you also need to understand real estate is something different. I feel like that's reaching into
Mm,
somebody's pocket in a different kind of way, because their home is probably the place for a lot of people where the only true place they've been able to save because things have gotten more and more expensive over the years, and everybody has to be a two-income household, and so on and so forth. Inflation is crazy. Somebody's equity in their house is really like that's their nest egg. And likewise, getting, young people into homes earlier or just into ownership, because yeah, of course you can buy a condo, but like buying a duplex, you know, that's
Excuse
so
me. Yep.
that's so important in terms of having them understand, like, don't put it off year after year. Talk to a lender.
Yes.
Look at that. Like, you can do 3% down, focus on getting your
Mm-hmm.
credit up. But like, you can do this. You can do 3% down, 5% down, get a duplex. Now you're getting rent that's offsetting your mortgage payment. You're paying off a mortgage, and you've created, a smaller payment for yourself than you would have been with rent. And what, okay, you have to mow the lawn like everyone's, who cares? You know,
Right.
like you're building wealth, and that's really exciting. I
Right.
think there's not a lot of education that goes in. There's a lot of people doing real estate, like makeover shows and things like that, but not really talking about the most important aspect of it, which is that it's real property. It's one of the ways that you can actually secure the future for yourself, for the people that you care about. And maybe people thinking in their early 20s, they're like, well, I don't have a family, I don't need to do this now. You do need to do it now, because I bought my first house when I was 19. And the fact that I wasn't paying rent, the fact that I was paying a mortgage payment, and then when I sold, I had $40,000 of equity that I would have just
Ooh.
been, like at like 23. um
Mm.
that's a game changer. So it's like, why
Boss
are you
move.
cutting yes why are you cutting yourself off from these game changing things? But then at the same time, like, they want to watch all this stuff that's like way the deep end of the pool, like, oh, I'm gonna flip all these homes. That's back to my thing about thinking that you want a fixer upper. Like, there's certain types of fixer uppers to get. If you're not a professional rehab or flipper, there's definitely certain things to look at in terms of what's too far out of that scope that you can do with fixer.
Right.
If you're a first time home buyer, what's too far out of that scope and what you need to stay away from, so you don't create a hole for yourself financially when you're trying to build wealth. And those are all great conversations to have, but it's really important for people to think about it and to have those conversations. So anyway, helping and serving others. That.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Learn about myself. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
really knew about myself already. Like, I mean, I
There
kind
it
of
is.
I kind of did. Nothing I will say, and the people that know me well, the people who've known me throughout my, let's just say, adult life, like, and I've always been pretty mature. So, I mean, they know the consistence of Sophia. Like, they know,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll comment this stuff. Like, my friends that I worked with at, first jobs and have known, forever, they'll say, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what field you're in. Like, now, of course, we're going to support and love you and feed into your real estate business, but it doesn't matter what you do. It's what you bring to it and your attitude, and what your intentions are in the people, working with the people that you serve. And we know you're going to be a perfectionist about it. We know you're going to work really hard, and we know that your heart is in the right place. Those are the consistent
Mm.
things about me. So when, going into an industry like real estate, where it is so ultra competitive and everybody's coming at you trying to sell you something, or, tell you what you need to do and what have you, that's really what I hang my hat on and put my faith in, is that I know myself, and I know where my heart is at. I know that I'm consistent. In terms of effort, I am a total grinder. I work really hard to do a good job at anything that I do. And my intentions are always in the best interests of other people. I really want to help people, and I really want to leave a positive footprint on this earth
Mm.
in whatever industry I'm in. And I could really care less. So, like, back to the cloud thing, like, I really don't care, about going to stuff or what. Like, you have to do some of that, and you
Yeah.
have, like, you're in a marketing business, so you have to be like,
It's part of the game. Yep.
headshots and da, da, da. But I think the stuff that I enjoy is it's just the genuine, like, feeling of satisfaction you get when you're like, this is awesome. I'm really happy for this person. Like, at the closing,
Mm-hmm.
like, it is so genuine. I'm
Here's your keys.
yes,
And,
I'm
oh
Yes,
what?
so happy. I mean, and really it doesn't matter the volume of the sale because it was pregnant. They were expecting a baby, and it was like probably one of the ugliest little houses I have ever had. I feel terrible saying that.
Really? Oh
It
wow.
needed so much. It needed so much.
Right.
It really did. Um, but they were so, and it was like $140,000. I think it's like one of the lowest price houses that I've ever sold to. But they were
Hmm.
so sweet and they were so on it with everything. They were so positive. I had the listing and they approached me as buyers. They called me up to sign. And I was so happy for them. And they were already right away planning the stuff they were going to do. And here's the babies. It was like, that was awesome. I mean, I was so happy about that. I was just as happy about that as a $1.3 million 8-unit apartment building that I sold, where that was that guy's, he didn't expect to make that much. And he's like, I'm finally
Mm,
going to take my wife to Hawaii. It's like that's the
nice.
stuff that matters, So that's where you really are like, it's worth all of the rigmarole, like the driving. Cause I mean, both properties is like there was so much driving back and forth and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And, that's just really what's important to me. And then I forgot the last part of the question.
The industry, yourself, the industry, and serving others.
Yeah. So we covered serving others. We covered the industry somewhat, I think.
Yeah,
Knowing
I think you
myself.
touched on all three.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
got, yeah.
Great, great, great. Well, yeah, that gives us a lot of great insight into obviously yourself and how you see, like you said, yourself, the industry, and serving others. And you should, as a real estate agent, you should put the importance of serving others first. If you ask me,
Absolutely.
I said this before to another guest, and I could see this as an agent, you having a sense of accomplishment whenever you're driving through your community, your area that you serve and live, and you can say, I got them inside that house. I got them inside that house. I sold that house. I helped. Like I would feel a lot of pride behind that because you're literally building that community right there. So,
Absolutely.
applause to everything that you've done and your success. And we
Yeah.
want to thank you so much, Sophia, for pulling up a chair and taking time to be here on the closing table. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Well, I want to thank you for doing this. This is great. It was really fun. I really enjoyed the discussion. You were great as an interviewer, so you made it easy. As far as reaching out, definitely if people are interested in connecting and working with me or learning more about the firm and the agents that I have here and our 5-star standard, you can go to sophiaberryrealtygroup.com.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're also on Facebook and Instagram, but the website's a great place to start. Has all of our contact information on there, and email me. And I would say, come into the office, have a buyer consultation, have a listing consultation. Don't be scared to do those things. It doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck in a transaction and things are going to be moving too fast. I've
Right.
had conversations with people that have taken 2 years before they make a decision on what they want to do. So it's about taking that first step to educating yourself and feeling comfortable with real estate. And that's really what we're all about. We're very client focused and want you to come in, and it's super homey and cute in here, and have that boutique real estate experience where you're not like, oh wait, I don't know, can I just ask someone a question? Like, yes, you can totally come in. We would love to answer
Yes.
your questions.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sophia. We appreciate you again. And for our YouTube audience watching right now, if you've gotten to this point in the episode, do us both a favor and hit the like button, please, and thank you. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Hey, Sophia, I like to leave our audience with a question before they leave the chat to get their brains going. So this is for you, audience. What are some of your pros and cons of a boutique brokerage compared to a traditional big box brand brokerage? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.